Memphis Success, Episode 5 with Daniel Watson.
From jump, always have multiple streams of revenue to be able to sustain whatever you might go through in the beginning.
Want to be successful in business? Listen to Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Be prepared to be challenged and inspired to dream big and take immediate action now.
Today's episode is sponsored by John D. Davis, CPA. He focuses on taxpayers and small businesses with their taxes. John brings several years of valuable experience as an IRS registered tax preparer. He also is offering a 10% discount on your first tax preparation, and he can be reached at 901-337-3207. Make sure you mention Memphis Success to receive your 10% off. Now let's get to the show. Well, hey, thank you for joining MemphisSuccess.com. I'm so excited today. I have my brother here, Mr. Daniel Watson. Let me just give you a little background about this gentleman here that we're going to introduce as our guest on Memphis Success. Now, from the loving ovens of Memphis, Tennessee's own Beneva Mayweather comes the culinary collection by Beneva Mayweather. Now, Beneva Mayweather Foods is owned and operated by our own Daniel Watson. Now, Daniel Watson is the youngest grandson of Beneva Mayweather, developed the Beneva Mayweather Brand back in 2007. Now, it was important to Daniel that Beneva's legacy after her passing in 2000 lived on through the food products that were made by Mayweather Catering, one of the premier food service businesses in Memphis and in the Mid-South. It was, in fact, the driving force that brought Daniel directly back from Morehouse College with a Cum Laude degree in 2004 to come back to Memphis, turning down lucrative job offers along the way to take this catering service to the top. Now, I met Daniel about 2 years ago in the emerging leaders class. Now, let me just tell you, this guy has so much energy. He's very passionate about what he does, and he just brings so much energy and love for food development and marketing and branding. Now, I just want you guys to sit back and just listen to the insight that he has to share. I know he's going to drop tons of nuggets and knowledge that will help you continue to create, build, and grow your business. So first of all, I just want to go ahead and welcome Mr. Daniel Watson.
Thank you, Donnell Reed. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me on your first MemphisSuccess.com interview. It's an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to discussing whatever I can and hopefully leaving some kind of insight for yourself and your audience, and let's see what we can do.
Well, thank you. I know you're really going to bring it today with our MemphisSuccess.com and where the Memphis go-getters are really going to learn today from you. So I always like to kick off our interview with our guests with what is really the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the city of Memphis?
Fear.
Okay.
Fear. It's like you grow up here and you always look at what exactly, why do we have the whys that are the problems of the city? We can't, crab in a barrel mentality. Race relations don't really work out. All these factors are a part of, what you see daily that make it important for us to create jobs, that make it important for us to be more entrepreneurial. And you wonder, why can't that really happen? Like at some point, like if my parents stated this one problem, their parents stated another problem, and we're stating the same problem, like where's the progress? So when you say fear, to me is saying that, yes, we can't get over race relations. We're not going to integrate Memphis on a business scale. You will have the problems where you got to have the minority participation argument every year when it comes to contracts. You're not going to see areas of Memphis have diverse cultural relevancy when it comes to what makes our money, music and tourism. If Broad Avenue can work the way it worked, why hasn't Stacks and Soulsville worked the way it worked? It's the exact same model. But you have deep issues that because fear is the reason why you don't want to come together as one community to try to work things out yourself. Fear is a whole other reason why another community who may have the resources might not want to include another community. So and especially me being an African American male, fear that of me being able to trust another young African American male, so we could come together and really make something work. I mean, it's fear. It's fear throughout the city that, you know, it really plagues us, and it also impedes us from being great. And it's so simple. It's just fear. Because beyond fear, we have so much potential. We have everything we need.
Okay.
But,
well, yeah, I definitely agree. I think there's lots of potential and things that we can overcome. And I believe through entrepreneurship here in the Mid-South will help, you know, break down some of those barriers and reduce a lot of that fear that is going on here in the Mid-South. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the just history and things behind you. But just to kick it off, when you meet somebody at a networking event and someone says, hey, Daniel, what do you do?
I operate a food product development company. I specialize in developing seasonings, baked goods, and eventually we'll be transitioning into frozen entrees. And I simply provide these products to wholesalers and restaurants, food service, and institutional. That's pretty much the gist of what I do. Okay,
now cool. Now, what I always do is like to go back to the foundation, just kind of go back to the start. And I know you're a graduate of the famous Morehouse College.
It's just a bachelor's, Darnell. It's just a bachelor's.
Now, I went to Tuskegee just for a hot second, but
exactly, good grade school as well.
Now, just to kind of go back, take us back to the time when you really decided to take that leap of faith and to become an entrepreneur. And we really just want to know what was really going on in your life. How did you really make that decision while I'm pretty sure a lot of your other classmates were going off and getting jobs with that degree. But what really was that pivotal factor in your life that made you say, hey, you know, forget those job opportunities. I want to go out on my own as an entrepreneur?
I first got into entrepreneurship like in 7th grade. I was making mixtapes like of all the hot songs that everybody liked. I was just compiling them and doing it in a way that I felt was just, it wasn't just a bunch of songs put together. It was like a song that kind of, if you were in a certain situation listening to the music would transition exactly how you feel it should, like a good DJ does at a party. So
okay, what was the brand of the mixtape?
This is underground Memphis music. It was like hip hop. It was all kind of just different kind of music, and people liked it and they started buying it. So I started selling it, and I was like, okay, that pretty much, because entrepreneurship to me is a state. It's like a state of mind. It's not necessarily a career. It's not what you can do. It's just like, how do you go about doing what you do? It's not, and that's why when you asked that question, it's like, I didn't really jump into it. It was just like there. It's like I saw that I prefer to be in a position where I can dictate what I do. I mean, I worked for a company in college. I was a salesman, and I loved it so much because I literally got to control that situation. It was all about closing the deal. It wasn't necessarily about I'm working for this company, because everything I did was commission based. I got a wage, but that whole relationship is just my frame of mind.
Okay.
And so entrepreneurship, for me, I got into it 7th, 8th grade. When I got to college, it was an elective. I just took that elective to make sure that I was mentally like in the right place for this. It's not like when you want to dive into just entrepreneurship, working for yourself, it's just a frame of mind that you kind of want to just talk to other entrepreneurs to see, are we consistent with that frame of mind? Because anyone can do this stuff. It's not rocket science. I mean, some of the best people that, you know, aren't entrepreneurs are in someone's company right now doing a phenomenal job, but they're just happy with their relationship. They probably could run a whole separate company of what they do.
Okay. So but how did you really say, hey, I want to go into the catering business?
Well, that was the thing. It was just an opportunity that presented itself. It was like, okay, my grandmother was in catering. I came back to Memphis because I knew I wanted to come back, and because out of all the options I had, when I looked at the job offers, I'm like, okay, yeah, I could make more money going to these respective companies, but okay, I know I have the entrepreneurial frame mind. Like I was even trying to sell stuff in college, at like the spray, the Chronic Killer spray, but they had fruit flavors. I was at Morehouse Spelman, and the women loved that stuff because I used to have it in my car, and everything they loved, but I couldn't get the buyer relationship. Like the wholesaler would not sell to me, like no matter what. It was crazy. But anyway,
So it's always just been rooted in you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, my grandparents on my father's side, they were proprietors of a motel, like a very small motel, but that's how, they were wired that way. That's how they thought. And my grandmother, like, I used to be, my crib was in this very space. I was in this environment. I'm in high schools. My friends were playing basketball. Like, I'm found, like, at that time, wasn't cell phones. So, like, the gym where you are, they'll call your name and come get you. You got a phone call. You need to leave and go pick up X ingredient and bring it over here right now. No, you can't continue to play. We have a party to get out. So you always understood the priority of the customer early on, customer service, riding around the city, dropping off food, meeting some very influential people in a service relationship as a very young child. And, it was already here. So when you look at all the job offers and you look at, okay, that's cool, but if I go here and really execute what I know the potential could be, I could easily surpass what that entry level would be. Plus, I'm already educated on the whole, the working for the man, all that kind of stuff, the corporate relationship. Like I'm well versed just because of my background. So I understand, it's not about, you don't get caught up in the career. You don't get caught up in the title. You get caught up in the work. If you love it, you're happy. And if you have the freedom to do what you love and have the freedom to dictate when you can do what you love, that's probably the best way to go.
Now, one thing I just want to jump in here. One thing that I've always seen from other entrepreneurs is a lot of times that they've had a loved one or someone else in their family were entrepreneurs. And so from them growing up and seeing that and experiencing that they see, well, hey, this is a path for me. And, a lot of times you always hear kids will follow a lot of times what their parents have done, and what they see their parents doing. So do you think that was probably one of the pivotal things in your life? You saw your family already being entrepreneurs themselves, so it made it a lot easier for you to maybe transition into that?
It was probably, that had something to do with it, but it was the work ethic more than anything because, like, I mean, they were business owners, but it wasn't like when I came back into this, I was trying to execute certain things that weren't received well because it wasn't like, this wasn't ran as a business. It was ran as this is a means to an end, It just so happened, it literally was a business, and it was just like, it was a means to an end. So it definitely influenced me because I'm in here, you working, man. You you doing stuff. And you working hard, like it's hard work, food service, man. You can't just come in here and wing it, especially when you're doing food from scratch. So it gave me the skill set. That's why every job I've ever worked for in the company, like I'm always like the top. Like I do, like it's like a certain level of standard that I have that's like I'm here to do the best at it because that's how I was raised. Like as a child, you kidding? We're even working in the yard, man. You had to pull weeds up and do it right. Don't just leave the half of weed in it. Pull the whole damn weed up by the root. And coming in here, man, you gotta, you're gonna peel potatoes. You're not gonna use some imitation potatoes. You're gonna do the real deal, and it's not even for you. It's for someone else. Yeah, they're paying for it, but you're doing it for someone else. And to see the smile on their face, they didn't even care about the money of it. That's why my grandmother was so loved because she gave them their all with something that you're ingesting. It's not like clothes or anything, and no disrespect to any other company, but you're eating food, you're ingesting it. I have to put a lot of this is going into your body. Like you're gonna benefit, or maybe not in some cases, but fortunately for us, they benefited and they felt that love and they felt something that was allowed me the opportunity to put her face on products, and people resonate towards it. Even people that don't even know her, they resonate towards it because that's America's grandmother, man. And she was the grandmother, and people loved her around the city, and that has allowed me to literally take that and apply it to some products that are associated with her legacy in terms of cooking, and it's doing pretty good. So, yeah, no doubt about it. You definitely influenced by the people before you.
Right. Look, Memphis Go-Getters, I told you, Mr. Daniel Watson has a lot of passion. As you can see, it has a lot of legacy and history that has been built into this man to be successful in this business. So let's just move on. Now, a lot of times when business owners get started or entrepreneurs get started, we're faced with a lot of challenges. So if you can just tell our Memphis Go-Getters just some of this, one of your biggest challenges or disappointments that you have faced as an entrepreneur, but how were you able to overcome from it and bounce back from it?
The biggest challenge that I've had multiple challenges, of course, as this business, but at this point, I should have started like the second phase of my company's development instead of in conjunction with the first phase, because it was all kind of in my control. It wasn't like I wasn't biting off more than I can chew. And I kind of put myself in a position where the little money I was making off phase one, it was going into areas that I didn't need to be spending it on. My personal living expenses, keeping the doors open. You got to do what you got to do, but you have to be disciplined when you start out with your money, man. You can't just you have other priorities, but sometimes, man, if X dollar is invested for X, then X has to go directly back to X, or you're gonna find yourself in a position where you got extra debt. You're probably giving up too much equity control of your business just to keep what you have going, and just exercising a little bit more discipline in that front, and making sure that if you got someone that's committed to you, try to make sure they follow through, because I had investors that backed out on me when I had my first deal. Kroger is calling me like, hey, we need the product. Where's the product? I'm like, man, I had the investor on the hook. I had to put the cart before the horse to show the investor that I had the deal closed. Now the investor's not picking up, and I have this one opportunity that I can't even fulfill, that I worked a couple of years to even attain, and now we're okay. How do I get the product to the shelf? Damn.
Right. So what they call it, the Monday quarterbacking.
Yes, sir.
So, in hindsight, just from that challenge and that experience, what would you tell our Memphis go-getters in hindsight? What would you maybe do differently now, knowing what you know now?
From jump, always have multiple streams of revenue to be able to sustain whatever you might go through in the beginning. Like, I had that built into my business model, my business plan. However, I didn't execute it the way I should have, but that concept still rests. Make sure that if this is your business, try to have something else in an entrepreneurial fashion. Hell, might even try Uber drive. I don't know if it gives you another set of income to come in to maybe offset some mistakes you may make. I know I made them, so I'm assuming we all might make them. I hope you don't, but if you happen to make a mistake, have a revenue stream already established to deal with it, because with the revenue stream, it'll allow you to, okay, I made X mistake, fine. Or if I'm short right here, I can take care of it because I have an allocated funding source for that particular purpose. And you might be able to take that money and invest in areas to enhance your plan. But always go into it with multiple streams of revenue. Don't just only focus on your business. And if you have an additional stream of revenue, it needs to coincide with your current business. You do not need to be focusing on too many fronts, because you need laser focus on your primary business model. So if you do that, it won't eliminate mistakes, but you will put yourself in a position where you can be more in control of how your growth will go, because it won't go on a straight line. It'll go all over the place, which is, that's just typical business. But at least you'll be better prepared to take any turn that you might have in your business. Yeah,
I definitely understand that. Cash is king
yes,
in business, and making sure that you have that money. I know for me and my partners, we before we really tried to venture off, we tried to, save as much money as possible. And for a whole year straight, my partner and I just saved $100 a month. We had close to $1,000 saved up to, really go toward our business, and we're able to kind of utilize that to get started. So, man, this is fantastic information. We're going to go ahead and take a break right now, and we'll come back. Now, a word from our sponsor. Hey, as a small business owner, you're going to need help with your taxes. Look, I learned. Contact John Davis, CPA. His number is 901-337-3207. Make sure you mention Memphis Success and receive 10% off on your first package with him. Now back to the show. Okay, hey Daniel, once again, man, you've been giving us so much information and key nuggets about your business and your life and such. In this section, I call this the big shift moment in your business. So if you can, just take us to the moment of time when you had experienced or learned something new that really helped shift your business to take it to another level.
I would say when I started baking the products for the second phase, I was looking for a contract packager, as I had found for the seasoning, which was the first phase. I was trying to find someone that could produce on a massive scale that was large enough to take on if I got landed an order with a Walmart or a Sam's. They could handle that volume, but as well as allow me to enter the market with a large manufactured product so that I could at least, get my feet wet. So it was kind of balancing that, which I found with the contract packager, because they were big enough to fulfill any order, but small enough to where they could, give me an opportunity that, I only had 20, 30 stores. So
okay, so hold on, if you don't mind me interrupting. So in the first phase,
right?
Can you just tell the audience what that first phase for you?
Well, the first phase for the food product development company, which is what I'm building, it was seasoning. Seasoning, in my opinion, because when you eat food, you need to have flavor. So as a foundation, we made a line of seasonings that were based upon Beneva successful seasonings, as well as they allowed for the brand to be established in a category in the grocery market that had a long shelf life. Don't have to worry about it having to buy back due to perishable issues. It made sense to enter that market again because I'm developing a 3-stage kind of process of growth, which in food, just in a food related business, the foundation of food, of course you have ingredients, and part of those ingredients are seasonings just from a flavor standpoint.
Okay.
So I started there. Then I eventually wanted to go into breads and eventually frozen entrees, which brings it full circle to the meals that made my grandmother's catering business so successful that she specialized in, that people to this day still talk about, which is later on down the line. Okay, so
when you were saying your big aha moment was when you found I apologize, it was a company that was able to package it for you?
That was the thing. I was looking for that company because I was trying to continue to just grow the business. Let's get more distribution. Okay. Now we're needing to, because no bakery was willing to really take the time to deal with such a small business. So I started to do it in-house and baked it fresh. That also allowed me to control more of my day-to-day, I guess, sales performance, because now I'm in total control of operations. I'm everything. I'm sales, I'm operations, I'm manufacturing, I'm the whole nine. So when I started to do that, now I'm starting to see, okay, now I'm starting to bring in more revenue to be able to invest and grow into other areas of my business, because in the seasoning side, you need to kind of have, 400 to 500 stores just to really generate a substantial revenue to have a sustainable business. But in Memphis, there are only so many stores you can be in. There are only so many people that are going to buy a bottle of seasoning and come back to buy it again within, a month time. You might be back in a month. So when I started the bread, it's like, okay, regardless of, even though the seasoning is doing great and people are responding to it, now I have a product to where I can push it, have more frequency with the sales and frequency of growth. And now we're bringing in more revenue with again, an additional revenue stream within the same, category of my overall business, which is food. It also just happens to be the second phase of my growth, but nonetheless, it brought in additional revenue. And now we're seeing substantial growth. So where now, even though I'm still in Memphis and I can't really grow outside of this market responsibly just yet, I can now invest in booming Memphis. Now I can take time to bring the brand to more of a visible forefront because we're in multiple categories. You see the packaging. So now you're asking, what other products do we have? Because bread is sold at a higher frequency than seasoning. Baked goods are sold at a higher rate than frequency. And I'm not only having a relationship with retailers and wholesalers, I'm also building a relationship in the food service industry, restaurants, institutions that order pretty much daily because of their need for their particular business model.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap this up to get to the other questions. So really that big aha moment was when you were able to expand into other product lines such as the bread, where the seasoning was maybe once every, so many months, but where the bread, people are going to eat that frequently and give you a better return on your money and generate more revenue.
Right. It happened. It was important for it to happen. Like I just started to do it in-house. I said, don't look for the manufacturing relationship. Let's do it in-house. And of course, if you cut out the middleman, which is essentially what I did, you're in a larger controlling point. You don't necessarily have to wait on leads. You don't have to wait on manufacturer backups, any of that. I am the manufacturer. So now it's just a matter of closing deals. And you still the whole time get to build brand awareness because it's the same brand. So it really was like, wow, why didn't I do this day one? But I was so focused on making sure Kroger was happy and keeping that seasoning on the shelf that I was just totally committed to that. And, just looking for a co-packer. Took 2 years to even realize they weren't going to do anything. And at that point, let's start doing it ourselves. And everything worked out.
Well, hey, Memphis Go-Getters, I know you're listening to this valuable content that Daniel is sharing with us. So once again, remember, he keeps mentioning this time and time again, have multiple streams of income and revenue for your business. Where one product line may be slower than the other, you generate another product line. You already have that channel, that relationship built, where you come with another product for them. You know, hey, that's just more money and revenue for your business. So that's just awesome information, Daniel. Now, just kind of moving forward. So today, man, you, first of all, and I failed to mention, we're right now at his facility, amazing facility that he has ovens, refrigerators. He has everything, you know, just built into this home of his, from his family. So, you know, I definitely failed to mention that, man. You definitely have a great established place here.
It's not me. It was my grandmother, man. They set it up. I'm just really the vessel. Like, I can't, you know, I come up with products that are, you know, based on what she did, and I produce the bread. I toot my own horn a little bit. I know I do the business side. I close the deals and I make things happen. But without her and without her eldest daughter, my aunt who raised me as her son, like my mother, Emma Mayweather Lincoln, without them, I wouldn't be here today. So I can't really take full credit without paying homage to those that really laid the foundation. I'm just here to really put them on a pedestal and platform so the world can know exactly what I've been blessed to know my whole life.
All right, cool. So, all right, Daniel, I know you got so much stuff going on right now. So today, you know, you just got amazing things that you're working on right now. So what is just that one thing that you're just so excited about today in your business?
I'm looking forward to growing and getting more, I guess, expanding my model. You know, I have an opportunity to kind of, locally in Memphis with the bake side, expand into more store chains, which would kind of mimic a relationship on a broader scale of distribution. And hopefully I can do that by creating jobs in-house and having a handmade product that's made in bulk. The season opportunities, we having relationships with the store chains in the northeastern part of the country, which, I mean, like I said, you have to have a lot of stores to really let the seasoning kind of grow and be sustainable. So I've been introduced to A-Hold USA, their store chain in the northeast, and we're going to see if we can penetrate markets outside of the local Memphis market with the dry packaged goods, the seasonings and the breaders. And we get favorable response from people, and it looks like there's an opportunity to really grow distribution. So we're excited about that and just continuing to move forward and building this business from the ground up in the heart of South Memphis, and doing what we can to make sure this community also benefits from our efforts as well.
Okay, cool. Now, I was just thinking, one of the things for some of the Memphis go-getters who may be listening may say, hey, I really want to get into this business. And just in this business, for me, one of the things that I know people will always want to know is, how are you able to get into some of these local stores? If someone is out here today and they have their own product that they want to get into a local food chain, what suggestions would you provide them to go about doing that?
Number one, from just a planning and being prepared standpoint, just make sure, in my particular case, food business, you know, make sure all your ducks are lined up. Make sure your product can be sold to the market. If it's something that you prepare in-house, like the bake side, we have an FDA facility, and the ingredients we use are purchased domestically. So, and we don't make a lot of money in sales, or at least we don't reach the threshold where you have to have certain other criteria in place. So, which is a pretty significant threshold for a small business. So it's pretty good that we get to work and grow per state law, and just make sure that you have your for retail. Make sure you have your barcode for your labeling purposes. Make sure you have it labeled as vibrant, that has good color, that you take advantage of the real estate. It says what the product is. If there are instructions, give it to a person as if they never cooked a day before in their life, so that anyone can use your product. Make sure it it defines what you're doing. Don't just come up with a name and then try to make it, put it on the packaging because you like that name. Everything kind of needs to be a marriage. Everything kind of needs to work together. So if someone's coming in, they look at something, they naturally will think what you have is what you're offering, or whatever it is you're marketing, or however you got a quirky name, it works for your product. Like, all those things have to come together to make sure you have something that is worth buying. Then from that point, man, you just go, like, I just do cold calls. I go to stores. I make sure my product there is no stone left unturned. If you're at a grocery store, they know that barcode needs to be on there, then you have to have that barcode. But what does that barcode mean? You establish a relationship with a company that does barcodes for all products across the nation, GS1. And if you have that, once you have that relationship in place, which is an annual fee that you have to account for in your business model, then you're ready to at least have a product that can be scanned and purchased at a store. And from there, you got to make sure, you have the commercial liability insurance and meet the demands of the wholesaler. And from there, you just don't sell your product. I would say that sell what everything else about your product. Like, there are a lot of great products in the grocery store, a lot of great food products. I don't go out and say I'm the best food product. I let the consumer decide if that's the case. But I will sell the nostalgia of, this is my grandmother's food. Like, this is the same relationship you have if I'm sure it's some Thanksgiving all across the country. People are going to get on some plane, some red eye to go eat grandma's pie, mom's this, mom's that. Well, I just want you to select this brand the rest of the 364 days a year that you're not at grandma or mom's house for that family meal. So sell everything around your product and just go and make phone calls and talk to people, ask people, tell people what you want to do. Don't make sure if you're going into a business or you're going into a store and you want them to do business with you, make sure that you're telling them, show them how you're going to make them money, show them how you're an asset for them, and as well as them being an asset for you. Like, make it a relationship where everyone benefits. And if you worry about those things, take care of your customers, put them first. Don't make it about the money, make it about the quality and integrity and the viability of what you do, service or product. Everything else normally works itself out. So.
Okay. Wow, man, that was a mouthful. That was that was deep right there, and that's a lot of information. And I know that's going to help somebody out there today who wants to have an idea. They have a food product that they want to get into a store. Man, Mr. Watson has definitely broken it down for us. Once again, Daniel, I appreciate all this information and knowledge you've been sharing with MemphisSuccess.com and our Memphis Go-Getters. I know they're going to take away some nuggets. And so my last question for you is, what does Memphis Success mean to you?
Memphis Success means that exactly where we started, man, the fear. Like, if we can overcome that fear, if you can overcome being black and dealing with your insecurities around being white and dealing with the economics of being white and black in Memphis. Like, don't spend money. Go shop in areas that you feel like you can't shop. Don't think because you're in the hood, things can't change. You can't be a prosperous area like the areas in the city that have been converted from downtown by Lamar Terrace to downtown by Lauderdale Courts to, what they're doing in Binghamton with the Broad Avenue projects. Like, don't isolate growth or opportunities because you're looking at the stigma attached to a certain area.
Well, hey, man, there's so much information, so much nuggets that you have shared with the Memphis Go-Getters on MemphisSuccess.com. So, Daniel, just one last question for you. Where can our community find out more about your business, find out more about you?
I mean, I'm on social media with Instagram, Beneva Mayweather Foods. That's BENEVA. That's B as in boy, E as in Evan, N as in Nancy, E as in Evan, V as in Victory, A as in Apple. Mayweather Foods, all one word. That's Instagram. On Facebook and Twitter, if you're looking for, I think, a site on Facebook, you just enter facebook.com// the name and just put in Mayweather Flavor. Yes, Mayweather Flavor, one word, and just omit the O on flavor. And that'll get you to the Twitter and Facebook. My website for the company is MayweatherFoods.com. A little bit easier to pronounce and to find. So look it up. Google Beneva Mayweather. See what you find. It's my responsibility that if you look for me, the appropriate sites are at the top of the Google search because I know people's attention and time are valuable. So that's on me to do more of a better better job of getting the name out there and building brand awareness. But over time, that should be the case. And finding out information about me, I'm not really out there that much. I just run the business, so hopefully you'll see everything about Beneva Mayweather and the brand, but it's not about me, it's about the brand. So
well, I will definitely say this, and once again, man, the cinnamon rolls slamming, bread slamming. So Guys, I highly suggest that you go ahead and support this man here with his products that he has. He has them in several locations. Tell them the locations where they can find your product.
For the seasonings, like the seasonings and baked goods, you can go to Super Low Food on Spotwoods. They have the baked goods in the deli freezer, and the seasonings are on the seasoning aisle. You have seasonings as well as breaders for deep frying, all on the seasoning aisle at Super Low. Cash Saver in Madison has all seasonings as well as breaders. The breaders on the seasoning aisle. The seasoning is in the back corner near the seafood, it's like I guess a local seasoning shelf. Kroger stores around the city, they carry 2 of the other seasonings. They're in the middle of restocking those stores. I don't know when this will air, but hopefully by that time all the stores will be back stocked. Humphrey's Meat Market, which is the store connected to Folks Folly, they carry the rolls. High Point Grocery, which is a store off High Point, carries the rolls and cinnamon rolls. Cordelia's in Harbortown carries the rolls and cinnamon rolls. And that's pretty much it in terms of retailers. And, of course, there are restaurants and institutions around the city to carry the product. But that's really not, I think, of any significance. I think I let them, I let the restaurants kind of just, if they want to announce who I am, fine. But, I service them. So I don't know if they necessarily want the people to know where their products come from or not.
Okay. So. Okay, cool. Well, hey, man, once again, thank you very much for your time. I know your time is very important, but I feel like you shared a lot of valuable information to our Memphis go-getters, and I know, they'll be able to take away some important nugget information that they can quickly apply to their business. So you're about to be a blessing to somebody else today. So once again, Memphis go-getters, thank you for listening to this show. Please go ahead and support this man here in this business. He's right here from Memphis. He's a Memphis success with MemphisSuccess.com. Please continue to listen and support this show as we continue to interview other small business owners who will one day be major brands in the United States. They're starting right here in Memphis. And as we sign off, I always want you to remember to dream big, take action, and make money.
Thank you for listening to Memphis Success, the voice of Memphis entrepreneurs. Sign up now at MemphisSuccess.com to become a Memphis go-getter and receive all the latest information and free gifts. Because your success is Memphis Success.